You've been away from recruiting for a while now. What was it like getting back into it and, you know, making these visits and going to try to sell people on your vision?
All that stuff's the same. I just think the window is different because you have this early signing period. But that was new to everybody, you know, because this is the first year they had it. So the date itself is different. And the fact that there's two, so there's still a lot of guys that haven't signed, you know, that will go through the second phase of it, so to speak, here in January. But the recruiting aspect's still the same.
What do you think about the guys you've gotten so far?
We got 8 guys. I think they're quality. They're all local except one kid from Oregon, so they're all California kids. There was a good relationship. I think we knew about these guys, meaning the people that were here. You know, Jimmy Doherty specifically with the receivers that we had recruited, whether it's Kyle Phillips or Brian or Chase, you know, had been recruiting them for a long time, so there was a familiarity with them. So part of it coming in was just assessing kind of where we are and how do they fit. And the unique thing about here is are they admittable to school? You know, and that's a big thing. Sometimes guys will sign places at other schools, not here, but you don't know if you're going to get them in or not. And then you always see, well, they oversigned in their class because somebody didn't qualify academically. We have to make sure that these guys academically are qualified so that they can be admitted here, because it's not fair to try to sign somebody and then not sure if you're going to get them into school. So we get a real thorough transcript read, which our admissions office does a great job of. So.
But before you took the job, how closely were you paying attention to what the talent landscape was like in this class?
I wasn't. I mean, I had no idea. I mean, I didn't know this job was open. So.
Well, not in UCLA specifically, but
I wasn't watching that. You know, okay. I was working. I mean, I had a job that it took time when I worked at ESPN, whether I was breaking down college film or pro film to kind of do that job. So I always just take care of the job I have. So I was not watching like what are the high school rankings or any of those things. I wasn't following that at all.
So when you did get the job here, what was the process like to kind of get brought to speed on?
You know, obviously they have a database here of who they've been recruiting. The film part, I think, has changed in the last 5 years. Access to everybody's film is one click away, so you could really watch guys. You know, here's our list of guys. All right, let's put them on. So you got to do an athletic evaluation, you do an academic evaluation, and then you do a character type evaluation of are they the type of player that we want here. So I think because of technological advances, that it's a little bit easier to get some of that information, but we had to go through and watch everybody. So the first week I didn't go on the road. I was just here going through, you know, trying to make the proper evaluation so that we're recruiting the right guy, because it's not fair to the student athlete or us if we got a guy that's not going to fit here and then all of a sudden he's here for a year and says, you know what, I don't fit. Well, then he's got to try to look for another school, and then we got to go and look for another guy. So trying to make sure that the guys we were bringing in fit in terms of what we're looking for. So.
Did you pretty much start from scratch? Do you think?
No, they had a lot of information here, so it wasn't scratch. It wasn't like, are there any players around? I mean, they had a pretty thorough database here through the recruiting office and had a really good pulse on who they were. But then it was a matter of going through all the information, whether it was athletically, academically, or character-wise. So it wasn't, you know, we weren't, who's that guy? Well, I don't know his name. I don't know what his grades are. You know, we knew we had all the information, so it made the evaluation process expedited.
Did you want to sign off on everyone, though, from that point when you came in?
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you're responsible for them, so if you don't sign off on them, then I don't know how they would get into school. So.
Do you expect any more guys to sign during this period, or do you think
there could? Okay. There could. I mean, it's a new window for everybody, so I don't think it's kind of some uncharted territories. I think it's open for 48 hours, so there potentially could be, or there may not. I don't have a crystal ball to be able to say that.
Do you like this new early period? Is it complicate things coming in at the time you did?
I mean, I think sometimes people spend their brains on stuff that they don't have any control over. I don't have any control over it, so I don't like it or dislike it. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. So there are a lot of people that were, you know, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. You know, it's the same person who goes to the restaurant and complains about where the bathroom's located. Well, you're not the architect. You're just trying to order dinner. So I'm not into what is it, what isn't it. This is the rule. Let's just follow it. There's an early signing date, and let's get ready for an early signing date.
How was it organizing the staff and recruiting over the last month when you have some guys who were here and then you brought in some guys too?
Yeah, I mean, we only brought in a couple that got out on the road for us, and then I kept a couple guys here, so it was just kind of a mixing of the whole thing. We didn't have the full complement of 10 on the road, but I understood that going in. You know, I don't think it was I don't want to just hire staff to get 10 guys out on the road and then make sure the same thing you're doing with the prospects of taking your time and evaluating on what the right fit is. It's the same thing with the staff. So I knew purposely that we weren't going to have the maximum amount out on the road in the first window of recruiting, and it is what it is. So we dealt with it.
And the goal is to have the staff in place for the next recruiting?
No, the goal is to make sure that we have the proper staff in place. So whatever that timeline is will be organic. It won't be immediate. It has to be now. And if it's now, it's this guy. And then that guy doesn't work out, and it was because it didn't work. It didn't work the way it should work. There should be a flow to it. So.
Is it hard to recruit not having coached the team and maybe evaluated guys as far as need, of positions of need?
No, because a lot of it's just, I mean, if you have X amount of quarterbacks on scholarship, you can't go, hey, I want to take 4. Well, then you're going to get caught short at another position. So even though there are guys here, you haven't had a great time to get a chance to evaluate them. They only practice once, so I had no time to evaluate the current team. But I also know, you're only going to, most teams are going to carry 5 quarterbacks on scholarship. Well, there's 4 here, so we're going to recruit 1 quarterback. It's same thing when you look at your running back depth. Where are you? How many do we have right now? And then how many would we like to have at that position? That's kind of how you always do it. You're really trying to fill what has been vacated. So.
Among the guys you signed, who were some who stood out on film, like, say, Brian
Well,
Addison?
they all stood out on film. So for me to say, it's like asking you who your favorite kid is. You know what I mean? I don't think you're going to say, well, my first kid's really good. The other 2, I'm not so sure about. So all 8 of them have really good qualities. They're all really good people. I think that was first and foremost when you meet them. I mean, there's a maturity to this class of the 8 guys we have right now that are pretty squared away. I think one of the reasons they probably chose this place is because they understand the rigors that this place has academically. They also understand the opportunities that they'll have when they graduate from here with a degree. So all 8 of them, I was really, really excited about that we had a chance to get them, especially in this early period. And it's a great group, a great foundation to build upon.
When you're selling UCLA, what are some of the recruiting, what is it specifically with UCLA? What do you sell, or what do you tell people about UCLA?
I don't think I'm selling anything. I think our job in recruiting is to educate what we have, what the opportunities are that this school presents to you, and then the player selects, is that the right fit for them? There are some guys, when you talk about the academic opportunities here, that it may be a little overwhelming for them, and they're kind of, maybe that's not what I was looking for. There's obviously, it's the #1 public institution in the country. It's the most applied to school in the world. I think I found out the other day 137,000 applications this year. They've won 113 national championships at this school, so they've combined academics and athletics to the top level in this country for a long, long time. So the track record of this place speaks for itself.
Is there something for you to get to learn about how to get recruits past academics here? Is it a different
I don't think anybody gets anybody past academics.
Well, I mean the process.
No, I mean the process is very, very detailed and very thorough. So it was fun to be a part of it and see how they go about things. But there's a great group, starting with Christina Rivera and her group, and then going on to the admissions people. So it's very thorough, and they do a really good job.
Was it fun to get back into it, to watch tape on high school players and evaluate?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're doing football, you have a passion for it. It's fun. So you get into the daily grind. I had a daily schedule when I was working at ESPN. Now I have a different daily schedule now that I'm working here. So.
What's your approach going to be with the draft eligible juniors as far as talking to them about their decisions?
You can get a reading from the league in terms of where they are. We'll present that information to them, help them with any questions they may have about it. Having experience from coaching in that league, we can share from them. We've seen it from the other side. That's an advantage that I think our staff has. We've got a lot of coaches that have NFL experience and have been at combines, have been in the meeting rooms, can understand what teams are looking for. But we're here to be a resource. But it's ultimately the player and their family's decision on what they want to do. We'll support them in any way they want. And again, we're a resource. So as much as they want to use us or little as they want to use us, that's entirely up to those guys.
In terms of the guys that you have now, were there any specific overlying qualities that you wanted to find in all of them that made them a fit in this system, in your system?
What, you mean the players?
Yeah.
I watched one practice, so I couldn't tell you anything.
No, the players that you signed. Like,
Oh.
were you looking for something specific?
Yeah, I mean, they all have to fit in terms of what we're going to be doing offensively and defensively, and that's part of the process. we want to get bigger. You know, obviously we signed a really big defensive lineman. You know, physicality and be able to run at the linebacker spot like you have in Bo. We've got a big need at wide receiver just because of graduation, so to be able to pick up those wideouts. You know, you got two bigger, taller guys in Brian and Chase, and then you got an unbelievable route runner in Phillips, so it was a good compliment that way. You know, Stephen Blaylock in the secondary I think will really fit. So it's just, it's really, each individual position is treated a little bit differently, but they all have the qualities we're looking for in terms of what we're going to be doing scheme-wise.
How will you spend the next? What is kind of the game plan for how you're going to spend your time for the next month or so?
We're just getting ready for the second phase of recruiting, so that I think we get back out on the road after the weekend of January 12th and 13th. So it's dead from now until then. There's obviously Christmas, then there's New Year's, and then there's the AFCA convention. And then we'll be back. Our school starts back up here on the 7th, I think that Monday. So, you know, we'll be back with our players then for a week before we prepare to go out and then spend the next 3 weeks of January, you know, on the road. And that's usually on the road during the week, and then back here on the weekends. We'll still have a couple more recruiting weekends, and then looking forward to that February signing date.